Welcome to Sparks of History, where world history and Jewish history meet. We are very, very pleased to have with us today Professor Andrew Porwancher, Wick, Cary Associate Professor at the University of Oklahoma, and from 2020 through this year, the Ernest May Fellow at Harvard's Belfer Center. Professor Porwancher's books include The Devil Himself, A Tale of Honor and Sanity, and the Birth of Modern America. And today we will be discussing the Jewish World of Alexander Hamilton from Princeton Press, 2021, an incredibly fascinating account of one of the great founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton, and his Jewish connection. Professor Jonathan Sarna of Brandeis University claimed that this book, which I purchased on Amazon, and urge all our visitors and listeners to simply go on, click of a button, delivered straight to your home. Professor Sarna called the book a major contribution to our understanding both of Hamilton and of Jews in the early American Republic. Again, thank you very much, Professor, for being with us. And let's get started. Your backgrounds and how you became interested in Alexander Hamilton.
Sure. Well, first, let me just say thank you so much for having me. It's really a privilege to be able to chat with you, to be able to speak to your viewership. So I'm really thrilled to be here and talk about Alexander Hamilton and his ties to the people and faith of Judaism. To your question, I first became interested in this topic in 2011 when I started teaching constitutional history at the University of Oklahoma, because I teach in a constitutional studies program, and Hamilton is such an iconic figure in the history of American constitutionalism. And at first, my interest was really just in Hamilton at large. And as a teacher, I love to bring in biographical details of the historical figures about whom I'm teaching. My hope is that by bringing in those personal histories, it can help make something like the Federalist Papers seem to students less of a bloodless abstraction and more of a flesh and blood artifact of humanity. And in digging into the details of Alexander Hamilton's history, I found that he was born in the Caribbean to a woman named Rachel Levine, and she enrolled him in a Jewish school where he began to study Torah in the original Hebrew. And all of these details struck me as rather curious. And for several years, I ruminated on these details, and I had other book projects under contract that I was obliged to first. But finally, in early 2015, the deck was cleared and I was able to indulge this curiosity of mine. And I got a grant to go down to the Caribbean and start digging through archives in the islands of Hamilton's youth. And that sent me down a rabbit hole that lasted the better part of a decade and ultimately culminated with the publication of this book last year.